is over there?
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full, buck full crazy.
Now look at Kai. He's constantly bringing new faces onto his streams, ushering them into the spotlight and giving them their first taste of true fame.
Oh, let me get that belt, you heard? What's my feet? You feel me? Massage my feet too. Yeah. Hurry up. He's over there, ready?
To fans, it looks like fun and opportunity, but to those who can see, it looks like the same machine, just updated for the streaming era.
Here is a photo of Brett Ratner and Jean-Luc Brunel, and why this is so crazy. Brett Ratner is the director of the Melania documentary, which the trailer just recently dropped for. The man who is directing Melania Trump's new documentary is in a photo with Jean-Luc Brunel, a modeling agent who had all the same allegations as Jeffree and passed away under the exact same circumstances in a jail cell. I could scream, like, this is crazy.
Don't look at what's in front of you. Boost, moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge.
Whoever's behind a lot of this stuff, I think they're getting old. And I think there's some narcissism there that's causing them to want this process to happen faster so it happens during their lifetime.
What do you mean, what happens?
Whatever desired end state that these people, which I can't predict, and my theories would just be wild conjecture. But it's very obvious that we're being engineered to have this tribalistic us versus them mentality and all of these other things that are just baked into everything. We can go as deep as you want to go on that.
I would love to go as deep as you can.
Welcome and welcome back, everyone. So today we are going down into one of those TikTok rabbit holes. We're looking at the strange, the uncomfortable, and the creepiest TikTok videos that will make you question your entire existence. So buckle up and let's dive right into today's video.
Okay, more pictures from the Jeffree files. This photo, we have a photo of a victim or a member of the Core 4 sitting next to Sarah Ferguson, the ex-wife of Andrew. Here's another photo of Sarah Ferguson with either a victim or a member of the Core 4. She's just like a nasty, disgusting lady. Here is a disgusting photo of Ghislaine Maxwell. There's something about Ghislaine Maxwell. Whenever I see a photo of her where you can tell that she's like feeling herself and she feels like hot and she feels pretty, it literally makes me nauseous. Okay, this one's driving me crazy. Okay, so obviously we have Jean-Luc Brunel, and Jean-Luc Brunel is all over these photos. But who is the man next to him? If anyone knows, please leave it in the comments. It's literally making me crazy. You can see here, they're here with two people who we presume are victims. Same with this guy. Does anyone know who this guy is? And also these poor girls and women. Like, I'm sick. It's disgusting. More photos of Jean-Luc Brunel and Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, this photo is like, I have no words. Like, sometimes photos just speak a million words, don't they? Here's a photo of Jeffree, Ghislaine, and Prince Andrew. But I just feel like the Succession theme song should be playing over this photo. I did my Michael Jackson deep dive like 2 years ago. And in it I said, even if you don't want to believe Michael Jackson's victims, then believe what Michael Jackson has admitted to doing. Sharing a bed with a child that's not your own. Having sleepovers with a child that's not your own. Extended one-on-one time with a child that's not your own. And that doesn't even touch on the fingerprints of the children that were found in the explicit magazines in Michael Jackson's mansion. And let's remember who bought Michael Jackson's mansion, Neverland Ranch, was Tom Barak, a longtime friend of Donald Trump, who just happens to be the current ambassador to Turkey and special envoy to Syria, and was emailing Jeffree back around 2016, I believe it was, and Jeffree requested photos of Tom and a child to make him smile, and according to those emails, Tom sent those photos and Jeffree was pleased with them. Here is a photo of Brett Ratner and Jean-Luc Brunel, and why this is so crazy. Brett Ratner is the director of the Melania documentary, which the trailer just recently dropped for. The man who is directing Melania Trump's new documentary is in a photo with Jean-Luc Brunel, a modeling agent who had all the same allegations as Jeffrey and passed away under the exact same circumstances in a jail cell. I could scream, like, this is crazy. Okay, go over to the next video and we'll keep this going. Okay, friends, it is the eve of the supposed file release day, and today the House Oversight Committee has released a bunch of new photos of Jeffrey with co-conspirators and victims. So let's get into what was released today. So this first photo is a photo of Jeffrey and a young woman. I would put money on the fact that that is Karina Shuliak, the last known girlfriend of Jeffrey before he passed away, and the last person who he made a phone call to from the prison before he passed away. But they appear to be in some kind of a limo or a vehicle. This next photo is a photo of Jeffrey and Sultan Ahmad bin Sulayem at Jeffrey's Island property, and they're cooking together, and we know this is Jeffrey's Island property because of the kitchen. And if you look just right behind Jeffrey, there is a framed photo, and that is the infamous photo of a completely nude Jeffrey had in his kitchen. This next photo is a photo of Jeffrey in traditional Middle Eastern garb. I don't know what the proper term for what this outfit is called, so please feel free to correct and educate me in the comments. And I am not sure who Jeffrey is standing next to in this photo. This is another photo where I'm not 100% sure who the man in this photo with Jeffrey is. This is another photo I'm not 100% sure. This was taken in some kind of a hotel lobby, it appears. Here's another photo of Jeffrey and Steve Bannon in his office. These were clearly taken on the same day as the photos that were released last week by the House Oversight Committee were taken. Okay, in this next picture, we have David Blaine, and then I think, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's Larry Summers, and there's Ehud Barak, Jeffrey, and Woody Allen. Talk about a nightmare blunt rotation. And then obviously there's some blonde woman's head also in this photo. This is another photo where I'm not 100% sure who the man in this photo is. Saw a lot of people saying it's Sultan Ahmad bin Sulayem. I am not 100% sure. I really can't tell because Sultan Ahmad bin Sulayem is like very petite. So I'm not 100% sure. Next photo appears to be a photo of Jeffrey taken at either like a police station or maybe like a border patrol station. And Jeffrey is posing with a photo with an official. Here is a photo of Jeffrey and Miroslav Lejak. Like I said, when we talked about this guy a couple of weeks ago, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. We talked about this guy a couple of weeks ago when we were reviewing some of the emails released of Jeffrey's from the Oversight Committee. Miroslav is a Slovakian politician who was the president of the United Nations General Assembly from 2017 to 2018, a time period when Miroslav and Jeffrey were in frequent communication and visiting one another. He is also the guy who relayed the message to Jeffrey that the Slovakian government was going to collapse as planned. Within like 48 hours of that email being sent, a Slovakian journalist's life was taken, and the Slovakian government did fall into a period of turmoil. And that was one of the many things that occurred in the world that Jeffrey was aware of before it even happened. This next photo was a picture of the temple that sits on Jeffrey's Island. And I haven't really talked much about the temple on Jeffrey's Island because a lot of the information that we know about it is conspiracy theory based reporting, because we have so little factual information about what this temple was used for, what it meant, what it symbolized, etc., etc. And we still really have no idea. I've always thought that the colors represent a certain blue and white state, and I've always felt like these symbols that are all over the ground have to mean something, but I personally have tons of questions about the temple on Jeffrey's Island and very few answers for you guys. Now, this next photo, what I'm curious about, was this photo taken inside of the temple structure? Because if it was, I think it's very nefarious that there is a bed in there. I mean, maybe it was used for storage, but if this is the inside of the temple, consider me spooked, but not surprised. This next photo is a photo of Jeffrey and world-renowned academic and professor at MIT, Noam Chomsky. And Noam Chomsky is a figure who is highly respected and revered by many, and I do think that there are going to be some people who do not want to accept that this man actually had a friendship with Jeffrey. Noam Chomsky is a Jewish man who is anti-Zionist, anti-war. He's been very critical of the blue and white state throughout his career. He's done a lot of good work, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he chose to associate with someone whom he knew was on the registry and was continuing the activities that got him arrested the first time throughout this documented friendship. Norman Finkelstein, a figure who I discovered around 2023, who I have learned a lot about the history of the blue and white state and Palestine from, and I really came to enjoy and respect his banter, but he recently made comments taking up for Noam Chomsky and somewhat defended Noam Chomsky in the allegation that he had a friendship with Jeffrey. Norman Finkelstein basically took up for Noam Chomsky's character, stating that he wouldn't have associated with Jeffrey knowing who Jeffrey was. His comments were met with a lot of support, but personally, I felt a little uneasy about those comments. I thought maybe I was being biased because Norman went and sat down with Candace Owens and did an interview with her. You guys already know how I feel about Candace Owens, but now that we're seeing photos come out of Noam Chomsky on Jeffrey's plane, it reminds me that even men who we perceive as educated and enlightened, like Noam Chomsky and Norm Finkelstein, they at the end of the day are still men, and they have a serious blind spot when it comes to the protection of women and children from exploitation. Okay, I'm trying to make sure that these aren't super long and are digestible, so go over to part 2. We will continue this conversation and looking through these photos.
This is Jeffrey Epstein's island. To understand it fully, we've remodeled the entire island, and we've divided it into 3 main sections. So we can tell the complete story of how this place was built and what it was hiding. The first villa sits on a point just below the main house, built years after Epstein purchased the island. Next to it is another residence, connected to the pool complex by a lower level doorway. This one even had an outdoor bath backed by a giant mirror looking out toward the sea. Facing the ocean is a wide stone patio. Set into the floor are 2 mirrored shell designs, along with the letter E. It may have been decoration, or something more symbolic. Above it all is the main house itself, the largest residence on the island. When Epstein bought Little St. James in 1998, this house was already here, but he had it remodeled and expanded into part of a much larger complex. The sea-facing side has a veranda, while the back of the house opens into the pool area. That pool complex is massive. It has 4 cabanas, a pergola, and a large swimming pool in the middle. At the far end of the pool was a statue of a seated archer, and beyond it, a painted compass that some mistook for a helipad. Parts of the pool complex were 2-storied, with staircases and hidden doors that led into lower levels. Not far away, along the beach, another villa was hidden behind thick trees. Visitors usually arrive by sea. Boats pulled into the island's jetty, which had a covered loading and waiting area. Those who came by air landed at the grassy helicopter pad. It had small shelters for passengers and luggage. Nearby, 2 strange details stand out. At the top of a slope is a giant monkey statue, and beside it, a stone staircase that leads up the hill, then stops abruptly, earning it the name the Stairs to Nowhere. This northern section of the island was meant to impress. Moving toward the center of the island, the design shifts. Here, the focus is less on luxury and more on control. Tucked into the trees is a low building, almost hidden from view. Its purpose is still unknown. Just beyond it lies the island's main service area. This section held the machines that kept everything running. The desalination plant for fresh water, generators for power, storage rooms, and sewage management. Some of these buildings were built directly into the hillside. Their flat rooftops doubled as parking pads, and vents cut into the ground hinted at larger rooms below. In one case, drone footage even captured doors leading deeper into the hill, raising questions about what might have been hidden underground. From this hub, a steep road winds upward. On the surface, it looks like a simple path, but it may cover a water pipeline that connects to the island's fountain. The fountain itself sat quietly in the middle of the island, ringed with benches. In one video, deer were seen grazing nearby, giving the strange sense of calm in a place filled with secrets. Closer to the southern edge of this section, a massive sundial stands. Once, it was surrounded by 13 brightly painted benches, some say representing the 13 ruling bloodlines in conspiracy lore. The face of the sundial resembles a Masonic design, another detail that fueled speculation. Nearby, smaller structures dotted the coast. One open-air cabana seemed to have massage tables beneath its straw roof. Another beachside building, now only ruins, may have been for changing clothes or toilets. Close to the sundial, an odd patch of beach is marked out on Google Maps, blurred as if to hide something. On higher ground sits a large building with 3 garage doors and a row of sealed windows. Some have described it as a staff barracks, others as storage. Either way, it stood apart from the luxury of the main house, suggesting it was built for those who worked, or were kept, on the island. This middle zone tied everything together. The southern stretch of the island is where the strangest and most unsettling designs appear. At the far southwest tip stands the most infamous structure of all, the so-called Temple. Painted in bold blue and white stripes, it once had a golden dome and statues of Poseidon and birds perched on its corners. From the outside, it looks like something out of another world. Early visitors described its inside as a music room with bookshelves, a grand piano, and even a portrait of Epstein with a pope. But by 2019, drone footage revealed only scaffolding, mattresses, and junk, as if it had been stripped bare. Some believe a small nearby shed hides entrances underground, though nothing has ever been proven. One site shows a pergola with 2 sealed doors built into the hillside. A second building that once stood here was destroyed during Hurricane Irma, leaving behind only a flagpole and a concrete slab. This part of the island also served as a dumping ground. Trash was buried under dirt, but over time, pieces surfaced again. Visitors later reported seeing everything from machinery to broken furniture left rotting under the sun. Above the dump is a second swimming pool. Unlike the grand pool complex near the main house, this one was smaller, attached to a 1,200 square foot building with a garage-style door. Other features add to the eerie design. A flight of stairs to nowhere climbs up the hillside, ending abruptly with a statue at its top. A large monkey statue sits nearby, silent and unsettling. At the highest point of the island, a tall telecom tower looms, with Wi-Fi repeaters fixed to buildings all around, ensuring constant surveillance and communication. Here, on this southern edge, beauty and mystery collide. The temple, the sundial, the sealed doors, and the landfill, all of it suggests an island designed not only for privacy, but for secrecy.
Epstein's Island still has helicopters flying to it. I used to live next to Epstein's Island, and you guys might have seen some of my other videos, but what some of you might not know is I still have family that lives there. I lived on St. Thomas, and over the weekend, some of my family members went and got some footage for us. So here's that footage. You see all these palm trees? He had to pay a $10,000 fine per palm tree to the UVI government. And here you can see the rock line and how the rocks are moved out away from the beach, and that's to keep people from driving their boats up onto the beach. And also in the VI, beaches are public up to the rock line. Now, the island was sold in 2023 to Steven Dekoff, who is another billionaire, and the rumors are that he's planning on turning it into a luxury resort for high-end clients. That's what's being said. What do you guys think? Is there still shady stuff going on? Follow along.
Yeah, wait. Put this one's better.
Wait, let me go back. Hold on.
This is the last time I'm going back.
Okay.
That, oh my gosh, that's the same.
Yo, this reminds me of the movie Blink Twice and how similar it is to like what's happening right now with the Epstein Island and the Diddy saga. And it got me thinking, could that be the reason why the film was made? Blink Twice movie is really undermarketed. Like, I literally had to rewatch this movie again after making this video, and it still creeps me out every time because it just shows how monsters really walk around us every day, smiling at us. That is so creepy.
Can we talk about the movie Blink Twice and how it basically was talking about Epstein's Island? Yeah, we need to talk about it because this movie was so good, and I feel like it did not get pushed as much as it should have got pushed because this movie was actually like a 10 out of 10. Now, it was a psychological thriller, and it had a lot going on. Like, I know it had like a trigger warning. I know a few people did some reviews on this movie when it first came out, but honestly, I thought this movie was going to get way more publicity than it did. So the movie is basically about this super rich, I'm talking about like billion-dollar corporation of this tech guy and his friends, and his name was Slater King. So he owned this multi-billion-dollar tech company. And he basically invited these random women that he just met to his island, y'all, to have the perfect vacation. And this was his house on his, random island in the middle of nowhere. And this is what Epstein Island looks like. So basically what they would do is they would drug these women, and it was like one male, Slater King, which was starred by Channing Tatum. Him and his friends would basically like drug these women, but they was using these flowers that grew on the island and made this perfume that would basically make them forget everything. So they would basically like assaulting them in every which way and doing all type of crazy things to these women and the one male every night. And then the next morning they won't remember anything because they've been using this perfume that basically makes them forget. And the movie just was really, really insane. So come to find out, the girl that was like the main character, her name was Frida. She was a cocktail waitress. Her and her friend, she basically was there the year previous and didn't even know. She didn't even know she was there because that's how much they suppressed her memory. And the movie just has a dark take on like power, abuse, and just really sick things. But I really feel like it was inspired off of Epstein's Island. If you don't know what Epstein's Island is, baby, you need to know. It was basically Epstein and his super rich friends that allegedly was trafficking and assaulting young women, and they won't drop the files, but I think they're going to drop the files soon because I feel like a lot of people have been putting some heat on a lot of these people, like they're supposed to be on the list of celebrities that used to go on his island with them and do these heinous things. But the movie was honestly really, really good, and like I said, I feel like the movie is not talked about enough, but I genuinely feel like the movie was inspired by Epstein and his island and his rich friends that's on the list and the crazy things that they did to these women. But let me know if y'all watch this movie and what y'all think, and if y'all think it was inspired by Epstein Island.
Hey, hon, you have that light? Yeah. Thank you. Where's Jess? What do you mean? What do you mean, what do I mean? Jess.
Who's Jess?
You okay?
Is she okay?
You don't look so good. What's wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong?
You fucking with me? Where's Jess?
Huh? What, huh?
My friend that was in the room next to mine.
The storage room? Hey, relax. You're on vacation. No.
Epstein Epstein and Diddy both, those were blackmail rings. That's literally what was going on.
100%.
They were videoing everybody getting incriminating evidence on people so that they could then hold them hostage in doing various things.
I'm going to say something super controversial, and maybe people are going to think I'm an idiot, but I don't think Jeffrey Epstein's dead.
I don't know that he is either.
Think about
honestly.
it. You're telling me that the most powerful man at that time that fooled colleges, fooled the most powerful people, had an island, had tapes, and he was with the most influential people in the world. You think he didn't prepare to get locked up? You don't think that he was in his ring? He goes, 15 minutes. Every minute that I'm not out of here, I'm going to release somebody from Australia is going to send something. Somebody from London is going to send something. They don't have footage of somebody killing him, but they have footage of them removing his body. That dude is probably watching this podcast being like, I knew somebody would figure it out.
It wasn't like the camera was dead or the camera wasn't there. Like,
The whole thing was so sketchball. Like, the cameras weren't working. The two guards who were supposed to be there all night just happened to take a break during that time. Or it's so.
He has a submarine.
It's so suspect.
Don't look at what's in front of you. Boost, moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boost, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war.
There's not too many photos out there that connect so many dots that it's almost hard to believe, but this one is at the top of my list. If you don't know, this is Dean Kamen, Jeffrey Epstein, and Richard Branson.
It shows New Hampshire businessman Dean Kamen, who is on the left there, together with billionaire Richard Branson, who you see there on the right, and Jeffrey Epstein in the center. The picture is undated, and the House Oversight Committee didn't offer any context for the picture. Kamen is known for inventing Segways and iBot.
Now, there's many layers to this, and we're going to peel them all back and come to a full circle at the end. So first up is this man here, Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Records. Or should I say Virgin Empire, because there isn't an industry that this man doesn't have his hands in. Mobile phones, records, insurance. This man's even in the race to space. But we're only going to talk about a couple, especially the fact that Richard here, just like Epstein, owns his own island. A few of them actually. But one of the more famous ones is a place called Necker Island.
Location point, you can see the entire island. In fact, right behind me is Richard's private residence. Right down there, a flamingo pond home to some 200 birds. And over there, a lemur sanctuary.
But you know what the most interesting part about that whole thing is? Necker Island is about 30 miles away from none other than Epstein Island. Maybe that's why at one point in time, Richard Branson himself looked into buying Epstein Island. And if you're wondering why you've never heard of these places, it's because to stay at a place like Necker Island, it'll cost you about $100,000 a night. But you know who does get to go to Richard's Island? People like Keith Raniere of the self-help group NXIVM. Him and his friend Allison Mack, who actually partied and threw seminars on Richard's Island. Seminars for this self-help group.
Founder Keith Raniere and Smallville actress Allison Mack. NXIVM is an alleged barbaric secret society that branded victims with Raniere's initials and turned them into sex slaves.
Now there was a puzzle piece within that whole thing that connected a lot of different things. And that was the fact that the Brofman family was a big part of NXIVM. This is Richard and Sarah Brofman. Now Sarah and her sister Claire are heiresses to the Seagram's fortune, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But her and her sister get compared to this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, because they live in the shadow of their fathers. Which, like I said, is another rabbit hole all on its own. But anyway, back to Richard Branson. See, him and Epstein aren't the only island boys. There's actually a third. This is fashion mogul Peter Nygard. Which some people say he's worse than Epstein and Richard Branson put together.
Nygard owns homes all over the world, including this huge estate in the Bahamas, where he's entertained Britain's Prince Andrew. Yes, that's the same British royal linked to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Like Epstein, Nygaard has a luxurious compound in the sun-kissed Caribbean.
Prince Andrew, huh? That's interesting. Did you know that Richard was knighted by the royal family at one point in time? Yep, Sir Richard Branson. Funny how it keeps going back to the same people. Well, speaking of the same people, remember these two from the beginning, Dean and Richard? Well, they have a lot more in common than just Epstein. It's kind of weird. Even though Richard started in music and that sort of thing, he got this weird interest in women's umbilical cords for stem cell research and how to store them. Even started the world's first public bank to store umbilical cords. Now Dean Kamen, who's mostly known for inventing the Segway, is now really into lab-grown human organs. Yep, back in 2018, he jump-started the human organ manufacturing here in the US. So wait a second, stem cells and organ manufacturing? DNA, the baby-making ranch. It's almost like they were a team. Y'all stay safe.
Note, this is not just a video of Kai Cenat on a stream, but haunting last moments we will ever see of him online. And no one is listening to his cries for help. People were terrified after Kai Cenat's recent Mafiathon 3 stream to get to 1 million subs showed exactly how eerily different Kai seemed, with many not only insulting Kai but attempting to now take his life. Haunting videos show social media users crashing out in full tears and screams, with many accusing Kai of betraying his fans completely, and they now won't stop until they find him and end him. Viral clips show Kai cutting his dreads after getting to 1 million subs, with fans putting photos of him side by side with P. Diddy and saying how they look identical now, and viewers are not standing for it.
I don't look like Diddy, man. Nah, because you got dreads. Everybody keeps sounding like Diddy. Because you got dreads. When you take them off, you're gonna look just like him.
With many desperately saying Kai will just reattach the dreads back onto his head, or they will not miss him. Of course, anytime a celebrity changes their look, they will get backlash, but I think he looks great.
You see, sometimes you don't even need to expose them because they're always going to tell you who they are.
I'm the new Diddy. I'm the new Diddy. It's crazy.
Did you hear what Diddy said? He just told y'all that he is the new Diddy. Why? Because the old Diddy is washed up. I mean, you just seen his Netflix series, right? You just seen what 50 Cent did out there. He washed them up. So that Diddy is gone. Everybody knows what he did. Everybody knows how much of a bad person he is, a bad entity, right? So of course, all they're gonna do is wipe the slate clean, right? Get rid of that character and give you a brand new one. He's got the money, he's got the house, he's got the cars, he's got the clothes, he's got the connections, right? Nobody likes that old Diddy anymore. He screwed so many people over. Why would we put that person back in when we could just create a whole new character, wipe his slate clean, right? Give him new face. We don't need to send him to acting school. He already knows what to do. He's got the connections in the industry. He's got everything. And now they're telling you straight to your face.
I'm the new Diddy.
Did y'all catch the Streamer Awards where there was a ritual for Kai Cenat where they confirmed that him and P. Diddy are actually the same character? By the way, did you catch that one-eye symbolism he threw up there before the ritual started? Yeah, he made sure to throw in that one-eye symbolism in there right before the ritual started to let you guys know that he is with these people. They use it because it represents mastery over what humanity sees and what humanity doesn't see. It means we see everything that you do, we shape the perception that you think that is yours, we control the narrative, your reality is filtered through our lens. So this right here literally means that Kai Cenat and everybody else in this room knows something that you don't. It's a technique used to distract the conscious mind while they are speaking to the unconscious mind. So she goes on further to tell you the truth that Kai Cenat and P. Diddy are the same character, and it bypasses your conscious logical thinking mind and it goes straight into your unconscious mind because you already know that Kai Cenat is Kai Cenat. So while she is talking, he's doing the one-eye salute to grab your attention, to make you pay attention to what's happening.
To you. Oh, and also, congrats on your new documentary with 50 Cent. That was you, right?
and then he continues to play with your conscious mind because P. Diddy is a massive manipulator. Like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you didn't like P. Diddy and you didn't want to be associated with P. Diddy, why would you go to the lengths of dressing like him? Not once, but on multiple occasions, right? What kind of symbolism are you throwing out to the public? What kind of message are you throwing out to the public? Like, come on. What kind of message are you throwing out to the public? Look at that. What kind of messages are you throwing out to the public? What kind of message are you throwing out to the public? What kind of message are you sending out to the public? Come on, y'all. Look at the numbers. I don't play about the numbers. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't. Look at the numbers. Kai Cenat, 22. P. Diddy, 22. Puff Daddy, the character he played prior, 44. You add 22 and 22 together, it gives you 44. Like, what kind of message are you sending out to the public? Come on, Sean John, 26. Kai Cenat, 26. If you guys cannot see it, I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. What do you think Hollywood is? You think Hollywood's your best friend? You think they're supposed to come out and tell you, oh, yo, yeah, in fact, yeah, Puff Daddy and Kai Cenat, they're the same person. Even hanging out with the same people, they both love to throw sleepovers, right? With men, right? Look at Kai Cenat's streams. Nothing but men coming through sleeping over. Same thing with P. Diddy. Hanging out with Kevin Hart and hosting sleepovers. Do you guys know this quote by William Shakespeare? All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Now, who set up that stage for us? Who set up that stage for us? It's like this. P. Diddy's already a great actor. Puff Daddy's already a great actor because he's been on the main stage. Why would you remove him and bring someone else when you could just change his character? Why? Why wouldn't you do that? Even Shakespeare throwing up that one-eye symbolism. Look at that. One-eye symbolism, y'all. Again, I showed y'all the proof with numbers. They're both into the same type of thing, right? It's just a different costume. That's all it is. Different name. Because after that Netflix documentary, P. Diddy's never coming back again. That character is gone. Is dead. But yeah, let me know that in the comments below what y'all think about this video, man. The shift is here. Let's get it. Peace in.
But here's where things get a little darker. Some people say Kai Cenat doesn't just mirror Martin Lawrence. He also mirrors Diddy. Not just in looks, but in how he operates. Think about it. Diddy built his empire by pulling young, hungry talent into an industry that strives on stardom.
He signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full, buck full crazy.
Now look at Kai. He's constantly bringing new faces onto his streams, ushering them into the spotlight and giving them their first taste of true fame.
Belt. Let me get at the belt, you heard? What's my feet? You feel me? Massage my feet too. Yeah. Hurry up. You know what I'm saying, Reggie?
To fans, it looks like fun and opportunity, but to those who can see, it looks like the same machine, just updated for the streaming era. So maybe it's all coincidence. Maybe Martin Lawrence and Kai Cenat are just two loud hyper-entertainers who both rose to fame in their early 20s and hung out with rappers and other superstars. Or maybe, just maybe, the industry has been recycling the same chosen archetype for decades. Well, one thing is for certain. We can all agree that Kai Cenat is a willing participant in the elite's agenda. And that, my friends, is the morbid truth.
Some TikTok threads have been joking even further, spinning memes and theories about Kai secretly being Diddy's son. And well, I believe people do look identical, but that is so weirdly true, just how identical they are. Could they be like pushing a new version of Diddy so that the old one can quietly disappear?
What the fuck? It's not Bijou. The fuck is over there?
sit in that. She's so slow.
Absolutely incredible. Now, I know you've never seen nothing like this in your life. This is By Nine Hills in Vietnam, and it's literally located in the sky 1,000 feet above ground. And when you get there, it's like walking into heaven. Who built this? And how did they get the materials in the sky? This ain't Disneyland. This ain't no Mickey Mouse thing. But yet, they're on some Daffy Duck thing. We got brother, how is this in the sky? Who built this? The more we look into history, the more we find and see that the previous civilization was far more advanced.
Simulation theory states that if simulated worlds, like video games, ever get to a point that we cannot tell them apart from reality, then we can effectively conclude that our reality isn't real, but we're actually all living in a simulation, and I can prove it with basic math. So we have our reality, V0. Someone in this so-called reality will eventually create a simulated world, like a video game, with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate humans, physics, and every single thing in our world with one-to-one accuracy. A perfect simulation of our universe. Call it V1. If V1 truly is an exact replica of our reality, then follow me here, it is 100% guaranteed that someone in V1, like a AI human model, will eventually create their own simulated world inside of V1. If someone did it in V0 and V1 is a carbon copy of V0, then someone will do it again in V1. Another simulated world with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate humans, physics, and every single thing inside of V1 with one-to-one accuracy. That would be V2. Now, the same thing would happen in V2, which creates V3, which creates V4, starting a chain reaction of simulated worlds inside simulated worlds. Infinite nested simulations, like a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream that, by definition, goes on forever. By the logic we've used so far, this chain is guaranteed to start as soon as someone in our world creates this perfect video game. Now let's pause and take a step back. We have one real reality, the base reality, V0, and an infinite amount of simulated worlds, V1 to V infinity. So the probability that our world, the one you're in right now, is the
sold a gun to a murderer so you can play video games? Yeah, sure. I mean, if you spend all day shuffling words around, you can make anything sound bad, Morty. Here, check this out.
Roy, what's wrong? I had a nightmare. I was with an old man. He put a helmet on me. It's just a fear. Get some sleep. I don't want you missing school on Monday.
I want you kids to look around you today and think about your future. Now is the time in your life when anything is possible.
Spiraling perfectly, it's gonna be caught by Roy Parsons. Roy Parsons is at the 20. Now he's at the 10. Nothing can stop Roy the Rocket. Touchdown!
I just think it's time to get realistic. Have you talked to my father about the carpet store? Roy?
I've been on it sooner. Well, hindsight is 2020, Roy. What's important is that we move quickly.
I'm not ready to die.
You're not going to.
Hey, thanks for the carpet, Roy. What the hell? Whoa, where am I? 55 years. Not bad, Morty. You kind of wasted your 30s, though, with that whole bird watching phase. Where's my wife? Morty, you were just playing a game. It's called Roy. Snap out of it. Come on.
Hey, do you guys want to see all the hard work the lizards are doing to keep the plasma goddess from us? Here, take a look. I went on a little airplane ride, and there was a bunch of these low-hanging clouds, right? And they're just little fluffy ones and stuff, probably held up by the, the 5G and stuff. But then if you go up a little bit, check this out. There's a huge gap and then another layer of clouds. Why are they double layering us? It's almost like they're trying to keep us in the dark. Have you guys ever seen that movie Dark City, where there's a bunch of vampires, and this is just a movie, but a bunch of vampires want to take over the dream world or whatever, and everyone just lives in the dark? That's kind of what it feels like for us. And then you look at these clouds, you're like, there's so many patterns in here. This is so weird. Isn't nature so cool, giving us these cool patterns through air turbulence or whatever the fuck? I don't know though, kind of looks like a bunch of things being suspended in the air with maybe like electronic, magnetic emissions coming from little tiny towers or something. Okay, look, there's like a third layer on top. This one's even casting a shadow. See that hard edge right there in the middle that's casting a shadow onto the second or third layer of clouds that we're all flying through? Yeah, dude, every day we're looking at the sun or the sky through like 3 layers of clouds. Look at all those patterns. Would you think those are natural from air turbulence, wind? I don't know. Looks like a bunch of hedgerows, like someone was planting a little garden of darkness above us. But I don't know. Also, look at how hazy the sky is all the time. Hey, look, they tried their best to keep us from seeing it, but I got to see it a little bit. I felt the warmth of the plasma goddess on my face for 5 seconds. And then we went back under the clouds. Hey, look, there's the Lake Michigan mining site that they backfilled with water after they got all the copper out. And there's Chilago, the city that's always been there, way before we say we got here. Anyway, Chicago to New York, completely covered with this BS.
Would you believe me if I told you that the moon isn't a solid rock in outer space, but it's actually some sort of projection being reflected or concentrated off of our firmament? Now, all you have to do is go look at the moon at night, and you can see that it's giving off its own light source. It's pretty obvious, because if it's nighttime and the sun's light isn't reaching you, how is it reflecting off of the moon? That doesn't make any sense. On top of that, go watch Vibes of Cosmos on YouTube, and he'll literally show you that you can fit the entire United Nations flat Earth map in one section of the moon. But that means that there's more lands beyond the ice wall. So what this right here is showing how the magnetic north shifts by 30 degrees every 2,160 years around the true geographical north. Go look it up. There's a geographical and there's a magnetic north. Well, think about all of the times that Earth was in an ice age or the Younger Dryas period. The peak of the ice age was like 20,000 years ago. Well, the sun and moon were somewhere around there. And then it was somewhere closer to where we are in the Younger Dryas, where it wasn't as cold. And in 25,920 years, I believe, the magnetic pole will be right where it is now. So every 2,160 years, it's shifting with the astrological age that we're in. So the magnetic pole is literally shifting with our astrological ages, which is why every 2,000 years, there's massive amounts of climate change. Well, yeah, the climate's always changing. And were you paying attention to those pictures? How you can see a star through the moon? How could that be possible? Why would Islam have a flag of a star being seen through the moon if it's all just made up BS and it's a rock in outer space? Yeah, this is real. This is real, guys. This video was made for entertainment purposes only.
This reminded me of the movie Silo. If you've watched this movie, let us know on the comment section what you think about it. But if you haven't yet, well, Silo is a dystopian sci-fi story set in a future where the last of humanity lives underground in a huge silo, following strict rules which are supposed to protect them, or so they think. No one remembers how or when or why the silo was built. Only that going outside means
you know. So it comes to a time where unsettling questions begin to surface, right? People start asking questions here and there. They wanted to know the truth behind it, who was controlling everything, why they were underground, and they just wanted to know basically what was going on because they felt something was not adding up. I mean, just like we're doing today with the moon, for example, right? So the story explores who decides what people are allowed to know and what happens when curiosity refuses to stay buried. It's quite an interesting show, but also remember, they're always putting these truths in movies. They always, if they want to communicate something, they always throw it in the movies. So it's just not a coincidence, but let me know if you've watched it. It's so interesting. I would 100% recommend.
Past 6 o'clock on this day 140 years ago. That is the moment we regained our freedom. It should be celebrated with horns. And it should be remembered in silence.
What if everything we've been told about the world is a lie? Because this scene from Silo might hit closer to reality than you think. Watch this scene.
She knows. Knows what?
When Juliet steps outside, she finally sees it. A beautiful, thriving earth, green grass, clear skies, and freedom. But then everything changes. Bernard turns off the feed, and suddenly the truth hits. It's all destroyed. The world she thought existed was nothing but a projection. A controlled illusion made to keep people in line. Inside the silo, they've lived their whole lives underground, believing the surface was toxic, following strict rules and never questioning. But what if that's us? What if our entire reality, everything we see, everything we're told, is just a version we're allowed to see? You see that? It all just changed. You need to watch Silo.
Turning Point USA just had their first major conference without their founder, Charlie Kirk, and a lot went down. JD Vance took to the stage and said,
"In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore."
He continued saying, "Or if you're Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not their ethnicity." Erica Kirk brought out a surprise guest, Nicki Minaj, where she spoke about many things, including a lot about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. However, in the most viral moment, there was an extremely awkward point where she seems to accidentally refer to JD Vance as an assassin.
And you have amazing role models like the assassin JD Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did.
The Democrats decided to get involved by replying to a post about Nicki's appearance with a picture reading PDF file protectors with a caption reading checks out. Others then started clipping moments when Charlie Kirk previously said that he doesn't think that Cardi B or Nicki Minaj are good role models.
Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on, I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
Erica Kirk then took to the podium to say,
"We are going to get my husband's friend JD Vance elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible."
There were dozens of celebrity speakers, including Russell Brand, Rob Schneider, and they even recreated the tent where Charlie Kirk was murdered. And the reporter said,
And people are taking selfies with it.
America Fest was a 4-day-long event which gathered an estimated 30,000 people and was attributed to the late Charlie Kirk.
Bro, am I tripping? What is that?
Seeing no one else around, it makes no sense for this to have appeared. To the worker, this had to be the thing, or perhaps the hand that touched his shoulder. The quality of the footage makes it hard to tell, but there's no denying that something appears close to his neck before it goes away. Whatever it was, he felt it. Now the employees who've seen this cannot figure out what this was. Cameron, who shared this video, thinks there's no other explanation except for the restaurant being haunted. There have been more than a few times where something unexplainable occurred here, but despite these 2 videos and all the others, it's the following footage he shares that I think is perhaps the freakiest.
What you're hearing are noises from XAI's power plant in South Haven, Mississippi, at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday night next to a house in the Colonial Hills subdivision. Over the summer, XAI, Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company, bought the former Duke power plant in South Haven. As it works to set up permanent natural gas turbines to power its 2 data centers in Memphis, the company is operating 18 temporary turbines. Since August, some of the residents have been hearing a low rumbling sound coming from the plant. The noise comes and goes, but it's been heard at all times of day, even from inside their homes. Residents say that the noise has only gotten louder and that there can be a high-pitched squealing that's particularly annoying. Jason Haley has lived in his South Haven home for nearly 2 decades. "I can't live here like this," Haley said. "It's going to drive me crazy." He adds that he's filed noise complaints with the police department and reached out to the mayor. In a November 19th email to Mississippi Today, South Haven's mayor Darren Musselwhite wrote, "The noise is mostly temporary construction noise that will go away within days. XAI has assured the city that any and all necessary adjustments will be made within days to mitigate any noise." But in early December, residents reported that they could still hear the noise. South Haven residents have also raised concerns around pollution following the environmental impacts of other data centers, including those in Memphis. Per Mississippi code, the temporary turbines are not monitored for emissions by state regulators and can be run for up to a year. The Memphis metropolitan area, which includes South Haven, already has high levels of smog, and South Haven residents worry that the XAI power plant will only make it worse. Mayor Musselwhite has assured residents that the turbines will have, quote, "a very low environmental risk." But residents remain skeptical. Mississippi Today reached out to XAI with questions about emission controls and noise complaints, and received what appeared to be an automated message that said, "Legacy media lies." If you have been impacted by data centers in your community, leave a comment, reach out to us at tips@mississipitoday.org, or visit our website for more options. You can read the full story at mississipitoday.org.
This blueprint right here came from us. See that? The G is in the center, the 7th letter of the alphabet. The 7 is the number of perfected man. This ain't got nothing to do with Freemasonry. This is the science, the philosophies, the systems of the universe. This ain't nothing to be, oh, this is just that spooky stuff. This that stuff we gotta run away from. This is exactly what you need to be looking into. And this is Moorish science. You can't handle the truth. This ain't come from no pale-skinned Caucasian. This came from our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Mother and son. That's Mason. Then you come right here. What do you see right there? Man. Man is master, able, and noble. That right there is on every hospital. That's the symbol of the catechist. That's the ascension of the Christ degree from the bottom of the spine to the top of the pineal gland. The wings that's on the side right there are the wings of Mayat. That's what that means. That's the symbol of the star child. Right there. That's also the symbol of the 4 lunar cycles. That's also a symbol of the 4 seasons, 4 directions. This is where you get the news from. But they demonize all of this stuff and have us out here thinking that this ain't reality. But everybody else been using our science for their reality. We've been told that this right here is just, y'all don't need to be studying that. What y'all studying that for? That ain't gonna help you do nothing. So if it ain't gonna help us do nothing, why y'all ain't never show us? That part. The acronym of you. What does that say? Your own universe. You yourself are a piece of the universe. You, because you're a starseed. So since you're a starseed, all this information about the Moorish arches, let me tell you something, fam. The Moorish arch is an ancient universal doorway to higher knowledge. So you gotta step through that arch. You gotta step through that doorway. This is why we ain't been taught Moorish science.
Hey, do you guys want to see all the hard work the lizards are doing to keep the plasma goddess from us? Here, take a look. I went on a little airplane ride and there was a bunch of these low-hanging clouds, right? and they're just little fluffy ones and stuff, probably held up by the, you know, the 5G and stuff. But then if you go up a little bit, check this out. There's a huge gap, and then another layer of clouds. Why are they double layering us? It's almost like they're trying to keep us in the dark. Have you guys ever seen that movie Dark City, where there's a bunch of vampires, and this is just a movie, but a bunch of vampires want to take over the dream world or whatever, and everyone just lives in the dark? That's kind of what it feels like for us. And then you look at these clouds, you're like, there's so many patterns in here. This is so weird. Isn't nature so cool, giving us these cool patterns through air turbulence or whatever the fuck? I don't know though, kind of looks like a bunch of things being suspended in the air with maybe like electronic, magnetic emissions coming from little tiny towers or something. Okay, look, there's like a third layer on top. This one's even casting a shadow. See that hard edge right there in the middle that's casting a shadow onto the second or third layer of clouds that we're all flying through? Yeah, dude, every day we're looking at the sun or the sky through like 3 layers of clouds. Look at all those patterns. Would you think those are natural from air turbulence, wind? I don't know. Looks like a bunch of hedgerows, like someone was planting a little garden of darkness above us. But I don't know. Also, look at how hazy the sky is all the time. Hey, look, they tried their best to keep us from seeing it, but I got to see it a little bit. I felt the warmth of the plasma goddess on my face for 5 seconds. And then we went back under the clouds. Hey, look, there's the Lake Michigan mining site that they backfilled with water after they got all the copper out. And there's Chicago, the city that's always been there, way before we say we got here. Anyway, Chicago to New York, completely covered with this BS.
Okay, what do you want to show me?
If you take your tape measure and you pull it out to 125.
To 125.
So that would be 2025.
Okay.
Let's just say I was born in 1977.
Okay.
So if you look at 1977, I'm 48.
Oh, so directly what's across?
Yep.
Okay.
You were born in 70.
And I'm 55. Oh, cool.
So for each year, so next year we'll go to 126.
Because of it being 2026.
Right.
Where's that at? Where?
Right here.
Okay. So if you did it in January, you would...
Yeah. So in January, what year was Cody born?
Cody was born in January.
What year?
Oh, sorry. 1991.
So you go to 91. Cody's going to be 35.
Oh, wow.
Correct?
Yes. That's crazy. Some people might already know that. I didn't know that.
I'm sure a lot of people know that.
But I'm sharing it for those of you that didn't. Thank you for our lesson today.
The tape measure lesson of the day.
Teacher Sherman, thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Science and technology is just an excuse for us to do magic. Computers are processing things by zapping crystals with a magical force we can't see called electricity. It's like if we want to do something that seems impossible, we just gotta make up some scientific rules that explain why we can do it.
Of the space age. That's what they call him. You know what he said? I'm not the father of the space age. That's the real father of the space age.
Alter ego gives you the power of telepathy, but only for the thoughts you want to share. With alter ego, you talk just like you normally would, without making a sound. Let me show you how it works.
Well, tonight we turn to news in one specific way that artificial intelligence technology is changing our world, and it is
US 2023025655981. That is earbuds that are designed and patented by Apple to literally read your brainwaves, record your brainwaves. You know that? Holy smokes. You're not going to believe what these guys have the control to do with these. Check this.
This technology that you and I are using and don't think a whole lot of is a form of sorcery at its roots and foundations.
It cost us $250 to build, maybe. We'd sell it for $500. And then the retail price was $666.66.
Our ancestors could fly. Our ancestors could walk on water. These videos that I'm making are starting to irritate a lot of people, getting a lot of people uncomfortable. But I'm not going to stop making them until the Bantu people remember. According to Bantu mysticism, or what today you will call Uktarata, there are higher developmental stages that must be reached by an adult human being. Walking isn't the last developmental stage. An adult human should be able to get off the ground, defy gravity, and levitate, which mimics flying, but it's not like they're flying with wings. They are just pushing themselves up against gravity. It also mimics walking on water if you're doing this above water. And this isn't the only advanced developmental stage the Bantu mystics believe that we should reach as human beings. They believe that humans should be able to hibernate. Hibernation is remaining in a stasis for a long period of time without consuming food. If you think about the bear goes into a hibernation in winter and stays there for 6 months without food, consuming its fat content. Apparently humans should be able to reach the certain ancestors who were able to hibernate. It was a practice because sleep was not done the way we are doing it today. The people didn't die. So people, when they were tired of living, people would go into rest. People would choose to go and rest. And this rest wasn't death. It was choosing to go into hibernation for a long period of time. Some could go into hibernation for like thousands of years. And when this happens, they needed to be, their bodies needed to be embalmed and put into oils and, preserved and hidden so that no one finds their bodies and distracts them before the person who's sleeping decides to wake up. So this body can even look like it's dead. They're just dry. It looks like they're dead. So apparently modern humans are not even close to reaching the levels of development that our ancestors had reached. Today, these mystics are called witches. They are still somewhere hiding. This knowledge isn't just something they tell anybody or they pass down to anybody, because this knowledge is hidden. Because if the enemy found out that there are people that still remember these things, they would hunt them down, because they don't want humanity to remember that they are capable of so much more than what we are doing, than the toil that we are doing. So some of these legends that could hibernate for a long time are still out there. And these are our ancestors that could actually control their own life cycles, that could walk above gravity, that could control the elements. Some of these people, they've tried to exhume, studying them, but most of them were buried in such a way that they could not be found. The people that could control their own life cycles, that could hibernate, that could go into stasis at will and will awaken when the time has arrived.
Whoever's behind a lot of this stuff, I think they're getting old. And I think there's some narcissism there that's causing them to want this process to happen faster, so it happens during their lifetime.
What do you mean, what happens?
Whatever desired end state that these people, which I can't predict, and my theories would just be wild conjecture. But it's very obvious that we're being engineered to have this tribalistic us versus them mentality and all of these other things that are just baked into everything. We can go as deep as you want to go on that.
I would love to go as deep as you can. I've wanted to talk about this for a long time.
Okay. So let me start out just by introducing you to an ancestor of ours. They live in these tribal, almost nomadic tribes. And the average tribe 100,000 years ago, we believe, was 120 people or so, 150, 120 people. So a pretty small social network, right? So you know everybody's names. You're familiar with everybody's behavioral habits and things like that. And there's a few things that kind of govern your life. And keep in mind that our brains haven't changed. The human brain itself has not evolved one more wrinkle since then. So it's identical brain to 100,000 years ago.
Has it devolved?
There's no proof of that either.
Okay.
And that they would be measuring interior skull volume and things like that. So over the course of time, your ancestors, if they piss someone off in the tribe and they get judged by a lot of people in the tribe, they do something silly and they get some kind of judgment, they get excommunicated, they get exiled and kicked out of the tribe. This meant death. Like, A, they're not going to have food and support anymore, water, all this other stuff that's very important to life. But B, they can't have sex anymore. They're not attractive to a mate anymore. And now their genes. So now it's not just death. For me, it's a full death of my genetic bloodline. It's massive. And we hear people all the time say, well, this public speaking is the number one fear of people. But speaking is never what people are afraid of. It's the judgment, the potential for judgment. Somebody's going to judge me. I'm going to get laughed at. I'm going to get kicked off the stage or something like that. That is hardwired into our nervous system. And it's inside of the lower part of our brain. And if I can target the non-human part of the brain, this mammalian mammal brain inside of our brain, that governs your whole life. It's the thing that keeps your heart beating. It's the thing that if you say, I'm going to hold my breath until I die, the reason that you can't is that part of your brain's in charge. It's either going to make you breathe or knock your ass out, So this social fear, being afraid of what other people are going to think of me, became weaponized, hardcore weaponized just in the last 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. With social media coming out, our brains are wired to handle 120 people. And then social media becomes this placebo of connection.
What do you mean our brains are wired to handle 120 people? Does that mean we can, I think the Wall Street Journal just put something out very similar to this a couple days ago, saying that the human mind can only basically effectively handle 150 different relationships with people.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's forge, foster, and maintain. Can I forge a relationship, foster a new relationship with someone, and then maintain it? So we're limited to about 150. And social media comes on the scene. Somehow that's triggering our need a little bit. It's fulfilling some need. It's like a placebo of social connection. And what happens, like we have this city where there's 1 million people in a city and your brain can't handle more than 150. What do? We go into apathy. We go into absolute apathy. And this is where you get things like psychologists studying something called the bystander effect. Somebody's in public, they get stabbed or robbed or something. If there's lots of people around, people don't say anything and they don't do anything because it's a diffusion of responsibility, and we care less and less and less every day. People are talking about like all the stuff going on in Ukraine or whatever, but like there's murders 4 blocks from your house, mm-hmm. and people being murdered. So we have an apathy for people that are around us once the tribe gets above a certain number. And what social media is doing, and I'm not here to stand on a box and demonize social media. That's not, and I don't think anyone that created social media is not setting out to do this. But what social media is doing with this placebo effect is it's tricking our brains into feeling a little sense of connection but we're confusing attention for connection.
Interesting.
And the second part of this is anybody watching the show right now on their iPad or whatever would agree that we are in a loneliness epidemic, the whole world. And we're more connected than ever. But we are in this loneliness epidemic because what we're getting is a placebo of social connection from social media, from all these apps and stuff like that. So back to this tribe, there are 4 things that we we went into in the audio series that you did with Ironclad. And this spells out the word fate because it is our fate. And this is focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. If I can hack your focus.
Today is a perfect day to watch this video. Watch this.
There's another very interesting phenomenon that occurs around December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolized the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized. For the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, constellation. And after this time, on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring. And thus it was said, the sun died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again.
So I started to study myself. I found most people don't know who they are. They really don't.
What do you mean? I mean, I know my name, I know my age, I know where I live.
Yeah, that's not you, though. You know, that's
what
just
size,
that. If you ask the average person who they are, they'll give you their name. They'll say, I'm Bob Proctor, but I'm not. Bob and Proctor are 2 words. My parents give them to me. They're called names, but it's not me. It's my name. Then somebody will say, well, this is me, but this isn't me either. It's my body. Like, you never phone down here to the studio and say, body won't be in today, it's sick. Okay. You know, we don't say M hand or M leg. It's my hand, my leg, my body, my name. Who am I? Well, that's an interesting question. And I believe if a person will start to study that and look for the answer, they'll find it. See, I think we live simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding. We're spiritual creatures, we have an intellect, and we live in physical bodies. Okay. But because we lack awareness or understanding of who we are, we're totally locked into a physical world, and we let things outside of us control us. 95% of the population are reacting to life. They're not really living at all.
Okay, and would you call that one of the barriers to success?
Oh, there's no question about it. I think there's 2 barriers. Success is a funny word. Nightingale had a great definition for it. He said a person's successful if they know where they are, and they know where they're going, and they're progressively moving in that direction. He said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Anyone that has a goal and they're moving towards it, they're successful. Most people think that you're successful if you have a lot of money. Quite often you have a lot of money if you're successful, but it isn't. I wouldn't say Mother Teresa has a lot of money.
Okay.
No.
Okay, this is actually wild. I have a book here from the 1800s. They don't make it anymore. This is Dr. Chase's combination receipt book. Super strange. Medical, domestic science, law, and business. This is like a freaking encyclopedia. And it has what we never see books have today. It has some artwork on the side. But I opened it to a random page, which I have marked with this paper. And you are not going to believe what it's saying. This applies to all of us if you live in a house. So, fresh air. There should be plenty of fresh air in your house. Air is a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen. The nitrogen serves to dilute the oxygen, which alone would be too stimulating. And they do word things a little bit funny here because it's from so long ago. But listen to this. In breathing, the oxygen is absorbed by the blood and the carbonic acid thrown off. Carbonic acid is a poisonous gas, so you see that a person in breathing gradually poisons the air. An average man gives off a little more than half a cubic foot of carbonic acid gas in an hour when he is asleep, and nearly 3 times as much when he is hard at work. Women and children give off rather less. It takes very little of this, about 2 parts in 10,000, to make the air unwholesome, or as you would say, close. Like just bad, toxic. Now you see how necessary ventilation is. In summer, it's very easily accomplished, as the open doors and windows give all the fresh air necessary. But in winter, it is more difficult. There should be at least 1,000 cubic feet of air for each person, and the ventilation should be enough to change all the air in the room 3 times an hour. Now, notice that today, there's all the main focus that they're doing is making homes airtight, making them super energy efficient. It's a scam. So look, how can you accomplish this? It is done partly by the heating. If your house is heated by a hot air furnace, there is or should be a cold air box so that fresh air outside is heated and forced into the room. The foul warm air escapes through various cracks around the windows and doors if there is no special passage for it. So you need to be replacing the air in your home. As I'm recording this, the window behind me is open. It is winter and the fire is freaking what word am I thinking of? Roaring, and that is a TV behind me playing a fire as well. So I have double fire. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, this is shocking. You need to replace the air in your home. People have their windows cooped up, closed up, and they have synthetic fragrances polluting their home's air. And they also have, well, let's just say it's very unfortunate how many people have all kinds of products that are off-gassing at all times. Conventional couches, a conventional bed emits or is coated with flame retardant chemicals which off-gas for years. We need to be replacing the air in our homes more than ever before because of these chemicals and because we off-gas. I mean, you gotta just replace the air, man.
So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching up to this far. If you've enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'll catch you on my next video. Peace.